Hello and welcome back to The Hills Are Alive, a movie musical podcast. This is Kelsey speaking, and with me, as always, is...
Hi, I'm Alex.
Yep. Happy New Year. This is our first show of the new year.
Happy 2021. Everything's going so well.
Yeah, it feels more to me like a bonus week of 2020.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's not going great. But we are here today to talk about one of our all-time favorite movies.
Yes.
And some of you may have already guessed what it is. Alex did just do a little reference. Everything's going so well. If you haven't guessed it yet, it's Moulin Rouge.
We're doing Moulin Rouge today.
Moulin Rouge.
It is definitely one of my favorites. It, came at a very formative time in my life, I think I was either a freshman or a sophomore in high school, and this came out.
A young adult.
Yeah. I was a theater kid, so we all the theater kids went and saw it in the theater. We cried.
Yeah, I saw it when I was 13 or 14. I didn't see it in the theater. I wasn't even aware of it until... my sister, she went to see it in the theater. She's a little bit older than me. And she said when she got back that, it was good. It was kind of weird. A lot of people walked out.
Walked out?
Yeah, they walked out. And I think that has to do with, I suppose, just Baz Luhrmann is such a stylistic director.
He does have a lot of Baz Luhrmann-isms.
Yeah, it's a very... it's frantic. There's a frantic energy to the whole movie.
And it's just like a lot of sensory overload.
Yeah, totally. And we've both seen it so many times. I think it's kind of hard to remember back to what it was like watching it for the first time.
Sure.
Because I don't want to speak for you, but I had certainly never seen anything like it. Mm-hmm. I didn't see Romeo and Juliet until after I had watched Moulin Rouge.
And even that is way less stylistically
It's pretty,
crazy.
I don't know, it's pretty up there. How long has it been since you watched it?
It's been a while, but I mean like the cityscapes and like, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because isn't it, I think it's Venice Beach where it's set.
Yeah.
So speaking of Romeo and Juliet.
Is it like a fake place called Verona Beach or something?
Oh, it might be.
That like is basically Venice.
Yeah, it might be. Speaking of Romeo and Juliet, Moulin Rouge was the third film in the quote-unquote ballroom, the Red Curtain trilogy.
Right.
From Baz Luhrmann. So first it was strictly ballroom. Then Romeo plus Juliet. Then Moulin Rouge, yeah.
Did he direct, I just saw something in passing when I was looking over, like, researching the movie and stuff. Did he direct Midsummer Night's Dream?
You know what? I noticed that too, and I had the same thought, because I remember that movie. Wasn't Michelle Pfeiffer in it?
Yeah, it was like Michelle Pfeiffer and Rupert Everett and...
Yeah, Rupert Everett. He was great.
Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci's great. He is underrated.
Yeah.
As an actor, I would say.
And like, I don't know, kind of sexy.
Yeah, I get it. It's low key.
Yeah.
There's a vibe.
Yeah.
I like his round glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah. He's married to Emily Blunt's sister.
Oh.
Whom he met when he and Emily Blunt worked on...
Devil Wears Prada.
Yes.
Wow. So he and John Krasinski are in-laws.
Yeah, they're brothers-in-law.
That's crazy.
Isn't that cute?
That's weird.
Yeah, I have a feeling I know which couple is cooler.
Definitely. Yeah, aren't there... I mean, aren't John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, like, low-key, like, kind of... conservative or something?
I don't know. I've heard that, and I don't know that anybody has a valid reason to suppose that, other than like maybe they haven't spoken out against.
Right. Like, yeah, there was like some sort of...
enough? I'm not sure.
I think there was some sort of like anti-abortion subtext in A Quiet Place.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to give away the plot of the movie, but yeah, no, I can see where that's coming from.
Yeah.
I can. I'm trying to find out. Did he? No, Baz
didn't.
Luhrmann did not direct the '99.
And what was he talking? There was this quote that he when he was talking
Yeah,
about.
he said he was working on it.
Yeah.
Maybe he was supposed to direct it
Yeah.
and it never followed through. That
or maybe
happens
he
a
was
lot.
doing like art direction for it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things when you're talking about like the frantic kind of vibe of Moulin Rouge. He actually said that was like part of the plan.
Oh yeah, I read that too.
Because to sort of capitalize or bring like the artistic movement that they were trying to depict into the modern era.
Yeah,
they
he
wanted it to
like,
have like an MTV vibe.
or I read that he wanted to sort of like shock you into experiencing things the way that people back then maybe did when they first walked into the Moulin Rouge and experienced this. I mean, it was, it was stuff they had never seen before.
Yeah, but he was talking about how he wanted it to kind of be shot like a music video.
It certainly was.
With like lots of frantic cuts and that kind
Although,
of thing.
you know what? I read that, and I read a couple of reviews where they critiqued the film that way, saying it was too much like a music video. Mm-hmm. But I found that really funny because there's one movie that I have always said it was a 2-hour music video. I hated it. And that was Marie Antoinette.
I love Marie Antoinette.
You did?
Yes.
I just feel like that review really holds true for that movie. I never once thought that watching Moulin Rouge. But I guess I get the similarity. I just felt like in Marie Antoinette, not that this is a show about Marie Antoinette, but I just felt like they had a lot of scenes in that movie where it was only music and just like pretty girls and big dresses like dancing around, and there was no dialogue, and it's just I mean, they're both very stylistic, artistic films.
Sure. I mean, you have to kind of be like in the right mood to watch Marie Antoinette. Mm-hmm. You just be like, I want to watch, a series of vignettes with cool music and beautiful scenery.
Right.
The wedding scene with that Cure song, it's so good.
Yeah, I don't even remember it that well. I should rewatch it before I talk a lot about it. Okay, so back to Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge, yeah.
Actually, hey, before we get there, let me just ask you, how are you?
It's a loaded question.
How was your holiday? Did you have a good holiday?
Yeah, I had a good holiday. Went to my husband's mom's house, which is just like an hour south of here.
Nice.
Felt safe about it. They've already had, that household has already had COVID.
Yeah, so the odds of transmission are extremely low.
Right, they're like right in the antibody zone. It was like a couple of months ago.
Oh man. I hope you don't get canceled after you just said
Oh God. And we had gotten tested before we went down there.
Of course. We all have to
fine.
do what's right and safe for
But
ourselves.
I wasn't, which means that I wasn't in Nashville proper though when the bombing happened. I know
that's right. Yeah.
a lot of people felt it all over the city. Probably I would have felt it at my house if I had been there.
Yeah, pretty scary stuff.
How are you? How was your holiday?
I'm fine. Mm-hmm. My holiday was good, but it didn't feel a lot like a holiday. It just sort of felt like the status quo.
Yeah, this was like, well, this is the first Christmas that I haven't spent with my family.
Oh, that's, you usually go up north.
Yeah, ever.
Yeah.
So that was weird, but it was good to be, have his family so close. So it felt a little bit more like,
Yeah.
a little bit more like Christmas.
Yeah. On Christmas Eve, I went to Cheekwood with some of my best friends. And yeah, it was really, really nice. We got to see the lights. Mm-hmm. We didn't go inside the mansion.
It's probably for the best.
Probably for the best. And I'm not sure what they even had going on. Normally they have Dickensian carolers singing inside of the mansion. Yeah, it's really nice. But
is it still a lot of Chihuly?
the Chihuly is still up.
Okay.
But
they have more like Christmas stuff around the holidays?
Yeah, I think they took the Christmas down. I think maybe yesterday was the last day to see the lights. But as far as I know, Chihuly is still there and will be there for a few more months.
Yeah.
Usually that's a long installation because they're such, they're very big pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, second time I've seen Chihuly there, and it's beautiful.
last year, I think it was last year, I went to... No, it was the year before last. Oh, God. I think.
I know, yeah.
2020 has made things very strange as far as, like...
I know.
As far as, like, bookmarking time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it was 2 years ago. I went to Florida and we went to Disney. It was around my sister's birthday, so, like, January 3rd. And Disney was still decorated for Christmas.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that was
beautiful.
nice.
And you don't have to deal with the, crowds, Christmas crowds.
Right. Yeah, so that was great.
All right, so let's go back to Moulin Rouge.
All right. So as far as just initial rating, what would you say?
Okay. It is my favorite. I
Yeah.
mean, this is my favorite musical movie. It's also one of my top 10 all-time greatest movies.
Yeah.
Musical aside. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give it, still though, I want to say just an A.
Okay.
There's two or three things that I don't love about it. Mm-hmm. So I give it an A. How about you?
I want to say A minus.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about what is it called when you're doing grades? The
curve.
The curve.
I know, and I messed up the curve when I gave Sound of Music an A++.
Yeah. Right. So we have Sound of Music, which we both gave A++s.
Yeah.
White Christmas, you gave a C,
A C.
and I gave a
B minus.
B minus, almost a B. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this, I would say A minus ish.
Is an A minus worse than an A?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. It's been a long time since I wrote an essay.
An A, I think, is between 94 and 97.
You know what? We can have our own grade scale.
Yeah, whatever.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I would say A minus. There's just...
But like in an AP class, so
it counts
it's a
more.
really huge success.
You get 5 points on your GPA instead of 4. No, yeah, I would say, I don't know, there are just some things, and it's the things that it's part of the reason that I love it, but also kind of takes away from just like the Baz Luhrmann-ism of it all,
See, all of those things are huge. But I like that.
Yeah.
That's something that doesn't go against the score for me. Mm-hmm. What goes against the score for me, and we'll get into this as we work ourselves through the film, but the trope of coughing into a handkerchief and then there's blood and you know it's consumption and you know they're going to die.
Right. I mean, they do tell you he does tell you at the very beginning.
I know. Okay, but listen, when I first watched it,
yeah.
I think I was 13 or 14 and I watched it on VHS and I wasn't yet in the habit of watching everything with subtitles the way I do today. It doesn't matter what language it's in. Like, I always turn on the closed captioning.
Yeah.
I think you get more from the experience that way.
Sure.
Anyway, back then, I either didn't know how to do it or you couldn't do it on a VCR. Mm-hmm. And so, also because it was VHS, the audio quality wasn't good.
Yeah.
And I just completely missed the part where he says that Satine is dead.
Right. Well, he whispers it.
Yeah. He goes,
The woman I loved is dead.
Yeah. It's very soft. And, I mean, it becomes obvious.
Right.
Throughout the film that she's dying.
Well,
but when I was that young, like, I had so much hope. I was very naive. I thought, like, something's gonna happen. They're gonna save her somehow. She's not gonna die. They're gonna be in love forever.
Right.
And when that was not the case, despite the fact that he told us she's dead, I was just sobbing.
Yeah.
Completely sobbing. I was so, oh man, it was rough.
Yeah, I mean, and I think
It's heartbreaking.
Any movie that's like set in like kind of Victorian, in a Victorian area, if somebody coughs.
If it's between 1800 and like 1930,
yeah.
If you cough, you're dead.
Right.
Yeah.
If you and especially if there's a drop of blood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You got the consumption.
It happens a lot also in The Crown. But that's mostly lung cancer because they're all smoking.
Oh, with Princess,
Princess Margaret, and when the king dies at the beginning,
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. I did watch season 1.
when Elizabeth ascends.
The other thing that I'm not crazy about in this movie is there's a couple characters they don't use very well. They didn't really develop them. They're very one-sided.
Yeah.
Their motivations are unclear. They're just underutilized.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, like, did you really have to include them at all?
Right.
But we'll get there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so Moulin Rouge, it premiered at the 2001 Cannes Film Festival. It was the opening movie.
How appropriate.
Yeah, it really
France,
is. Right? I don't know. Should we just dive into
jump into
our
a recap?
Yeah.
So it starts with this sort of, and I love when movies kind of like manipulate the logo reveal at the beginning.
Isn't it? It's like Fox Searchlight, maybe.
Yeah. And they like have the red curtain.
Yeah,
and
which was hard for them to get because studios don't like people messing up with their, their image, their logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he did get permission.
And I think all the Harry Potter movies do it too.
They're Warner Brothers, though.
Right, but they show the logo with and it's like gray and foggy.
And for some reason, I'm remembering the Simpsons movie all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I worked at Blockbuster. I have a lot of random movie knowledge. So they open up and they've got the red curtain.
The tiny little conductor at the bottom.
Yeah, because it is part of the Red Curtain trilogy.
Right.
And then the very first music that you hear in the score is The Sound of Music. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Sound of Music obviously pops up throughout the entire film.
Which, I love that.
But yeah, we open in the year 1899. As Christian describes, the summer of love. Uh-huh. Never heard it referred to that way before, but it's been a while, so.
And is it Toulouse-Lautrec that's singing at the beginning?
Yeah, Toulouse-Lautrec, his full name being Henri Raymond. No, it's Henri Raymond Marie, or is it Henri Marie? I think it's Henri Raymond Marie Toulouse-Lautrec Monfa. Uh-huh. He's singing Nature Boy.
There was a boy.
By, I think originally by Nat King Cole. Mm-hmm. By the way, I was watching Bob's Burgers last night. You like that show, right?
Of course,
yeah, it's hilarious. And one of my favorite side characters, her name is Nat Kinkle. And they keep thinking she's saying Nat King Cole. Yeah. It's pretty funny. And I think she's played by Jillian Bell, which is, she's cool.
Who's that?
She did that movie about running a marathon, and she was on Workaholics.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Really? You would recognize her if you saw her.
I never watched Workaholics.
She's one of those really funny actresses, comedic actresses that you see in a lot of stuff, but you don't know who she is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you'd recognize her. Anyway.
So there was a boy.
A very strange, enchanted boy.
And we have this big, widescreen, this huge view of the city.
Like panorama.
That zooms into Christian's apartment.
Mm-hmm. We're in Montmartre.
Yes.
How do you say it? Montmartre?
It would be Montmartre.
Montmartre.
Because it's Martre, right? There's two R, so it's like Montmartre.
I'm so happy. There's no way that my old French teacher isn't listening to this. So we open there, and Christian, like we said, he goes ahead and gives it away. His true love has died.
Right. He's writing story.
Down their story.
Right.
And he says, I first came to Paris 1 year ago. Mm-hmm. And then we get a little bit of Rufus Wainwright. Mm-hmm. My first time ever hearing that beautiful, beautiful voice. Mm-hmm. Love Rufus Wainwright.
And I think this was around the same time that I was super into his album that had just come out, Poses. Mm-hmm.
I think... Oh, go ahead.
Which was kind of like revolutionary for me because he talks about boys and gay flirtation.
I hate to admit it, but I think that Rufus Wainwright was the last concert that I went to, and it was at the end of 2018.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I went to. I mean, I'm sure I went to shows.
Like bar shows.
Yeah, in 2019, but I can't really remember going to any like concerts where I had to buy tickets.
Right, like a big show.
Yeah. The only like show, quote unquote, that I remember in 2019 was your wedding.
Right.
Yeah, that was a good one though.
I went to Margot's show at the Ryman. When was that?
Oh yeah, I didn't. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know. The last big show I remember.
We get a taste of Rufus. The song is only briefly featured, but thankfully they do put the whole song on the soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And it's probably, I mean, it is one of the best songs on the soundtrack. Mm-hmm. That's, I have to say, another reason that I don't know. Is it fair if you don't like the soundtrack to consider that in your rating for the movie?
No, because I don't think necessarily, because that's like a separate entity.
Yeah.
That they didn't really. It wasn't really faithfully taken from the actual soundtrack of the film.
For a movie that I love so much, especially the music. Oh my God, I hate that soundtrack.
They picked the wrong songs, in my opinion, to put on there.
I agree.
And the ones that they did, they like picked the wrong versions.
And they don't use, I mean, they hardly use cast recordings.
Right, yeah.
Nicole Kidman is on there a few times. Mm-hmm. Ewan McGregor is on there a couple times. Obviously, they sing Come What May.
I think the most faithful song to the movie that's on the soundtrack is probably your song.
Yeah, I agree, because even Come What May, which was the only original song, they do this weird synthy.
It's like a pop
thing.
version.
Yeah, on the soundtrack. And
which
it's not terrible, but it's not what I want to hear.
And I guess I kind of understand, because the way that they do it in the movie, like the first verse or so,
is spoken.
It's kind of, but it's also like spaced out during the montage of them like going around with the Duke, you know, when he's like catching frogs or whatever.
You know what, though? That reminded me, just now, thinking about that scene, how the first line is kind of spoken when they're about to do, that's when they're going to do your song.
Yeah. Oh,
he's reading poetry.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and so the first couple lines are spoken, and that's exactly what Julie Andrews did with My Favorite Things.
Oh, yeah.
She thought it was too silly
to just go
into song, so she thought, well, what if I just say the first verse and then go into it? I wonder if that occurred to them at all, or if it was just natural.
And I think on the soundtrack it just starts with...
It does,
My gift is my song.
Yeah. And it's still... Oh, gosh, he has such a beautiful voice.
I know, he needs to sing more.
I agree. Okay, so... Yeah, okay.
So now they're setting the scene. It's
Christian
1 year
is
ago.
in a fight with his dad, because he wants to go to Paris.
Right.
And his father warns, you're going to waste your life with a can-can dancer.
Right. Exactly. He thought it was the center of sin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's one, what is the line? Oh yeah, always this ridiculous obsession with love. Like, I think he's German for some reason. We don't get a lot of backstory. Mm-hmm. But his dad is not on his side. But he's committed to living the bohemian life. So he goes to Montmartre.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to say that word anymore.
Montmartre.
The center of the bohemian world.
Mm-hmm. The children of the revolution.
And very quickly, he gets an apartment, and he sits down to start writing.
And
he wants to write about love, but he realizes
he's never been in love.
I've never been in love. And then all of a sudden, an unconscious Argentinian fell through my roof.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that's how he meets the Bohemians.
Uh-huh. They immediately take him under their wing. He comes up to see what they're doing, and it seems very avant-garde.
Right. We have Audrey, the writer.
Uh-huh.
We have Toulouse-Lautrec. He's wearing, like, a shirt.
As, like, a nun habit. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we have Satie, who's doing the music. The narcoleptic Argentinian. I think he's acting.
He never has a name, though.
No, he doesn't. I really think in the credits he's just credited as, like, narcoleptic Argentinian. Yeah. And I think that's all of them. So they're trying to figure out the line, and they come up with a few. I think I wrote one of them down. It was really funny. Oh, the hills animate with the euphonious symphonies of descant. And they're arguing, how are we gonna, this isn't working. They're arguing back and forth, and
then Christian he's trying to break in to say what he thinks, and everyone's talking until he finally sings.
He belts it out.
The hills are alive.
Yeah, and it's so good. And then when he finishes, he just has the cutest look on his face. Like, you like it?
Yeah,
you
and
like
everybody is, that's it.
They're obsessed. And of course, Audrey gets immediately offended.
Oh, yeah.
Because Satie suggests, well, why don't you and Christian write it together? And he just says, goodbye.
Audrey works alone.
Audrey works alone.
And is this our first allusion to Christian's big penis?
Yeah. The narcoleptic Argentinian, yeah, he pops up all of a sudden when Christian sings that line.
Right.
And he says, I like it. You know, he's obsessed with that line. And then I think he walks over to Christian and he winds up like putting his hand.
Just like grabs his crotch.
Like really, near.
Yeah.
He either does it on purpose or accidentally, and he says something about, I appreciate the boy's talent.
Right.
And then he says nothing funny.
Right.
But talent becomes a euphemism for
this movie.
Throughout the rest of the film.
For Christian's
genitals. They talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, they decide that Christian is going to be the writer because Audrey is not open to co-writing. He pieces out.
And
but
like
there's
so
the
many
dilemma.
artists, but as so many artists do, they decide to celebrate before they actually do any writing.
No, that's true. That's true. That's when, I think that's when we go into Children of the Revolution.
Yeah.
My first exposure to T-Rex. Mm-hmm. T-Rex is now one of my just all-time favorite bands. Mm-hmm. Again, the soundtrack. I'm not crazy about the cover version that they use. They've got Bono singing it.
Yeah, it's like U2, yeah.
Honestly, I've never heard a cover of Children of the Revolution that I liked.
Yeah.
Although it's not the worst.
Yeah.
It's
but
just
this one is kind of spliced together with Sound of Music.
Yeah, it is. Well, on the soundtrack, it's just like straight up Bono.
Yeah.
But yes, in the movie, it's more of a montage.
Yeah.
Most of the songs are a montage, but there might be one that's dominant.
Yeah, they're more of a medley.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this scene is Kylie Minogue.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love Kylie Minogue.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to...
I'm the Green Fairy.
I think... I don't know if it was on purpose, but I think that Baz Luhrmann, did sort of make an effort to cast Australian...
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Right, yeah. Because she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Australia?
Yeah.
I did not.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's not good.
It's not good. I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Well, a lot of us, Moulin Rouge heads
Yeah.
were really excited about it.
We were willing to go in for any Baz Luhrmann.
But I heard before...
it wasn't terrible, but...
I had heard bad reviews, and so I just decided not to see it.
I saw it in theaters, and I don't remember anything about it. It was so boring.
Yeah.
I say that with a grain of salt. I love Baz Luhrmann, but anyway.
So Kylie Minogue shows up as the Green Fairy.
Oh, yeah, and something really interesting about that scene, Ozzy Osbourne was supposed to be in it.
Weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy casting, which just makes sense for a movie like this.
Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne was going to be basically the Green Fairy's alter ego.
Right.
Because I guess they're trying to show how, the world that they're diving into is sort of considered like the underworld or the underbelly of society. And
right. Well, they're showing the light and the dark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so originally they were going to have Ozzy Osbourne be the Green Fairy's alter ego, and he was also going to show up with a sitar, which I guess, like, would help connect the themes that we see later on in the film.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly why that didn't work out, but they did maintain his scream. So, like, right as they're transitioning into the Moulin Rouge, they zoom into the Green Fairy's face and her eyes go red, and then there's this, like, manic scream that comes out of her.
Yeah.
That's Ozzy Osbourne.
Right.
And once you know that, it's impossible to not hear it.
Right.
You're like, oh, yeah, of course that's Ozzy Osbourne.
So, actually, I guess right before this happens, they like, hatch their plot, basically, to get close to Satine in order to get the funding to put together their musical.
Yeah, so they have to get Zidler to invest her to let them do the show at the Moulin Rouge.
Right.
And so the plan is to get Christian inside the Moulin Rouge, get him to have a meeting with Satine.
Right.
Satine can convince Zidler.
Right.
And so they go in, and they wind up at this booth that happens to be immediately adjacent to the Duke.
The Duke.
The Duke?
Who at this point they don't know is...
They don't know him.
Or they don't know that he is maybe investing, or I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think the audience even knows, but I
Right.
did notice that you see him in all of the shots.
Right. So what they don't know is that at the same time, Satine and Zidler are also hatching a plot to try to get
The Duke to invest in Satine,
Right.
more or less.
Right.
She just wants to become a real actress.
A real actress.
Like the great Sarah.
Uh-huh.
And I gotta say, that's... that line comes a couple minutes after this scene, but it's one of the lines where I'm like, oh, I can hear Nicole's Australian accent. Also, can I tell you a little bit about Sarah? Because she is
Sarah, what was her last name?
interesting. Sarah Bernhardt.
That's what I thought, yeah.
It's
Not
hard
to be
for me-
confused
I
with
know,
Sandra Bernhardt.
I always want to call her Sandra Bernhardt.
Very
always.
different people.
Very different people. But no, Sarah was a very interesting person. Let me pull up my notes. I wrote down a few about her.
She was like pretty much the most famous stage actress of the time, right?
Yeah, I would say so. She was a famous stage actress, and I think what she did back in her day was very impressive. Like, for example, she took on a lot of male roles and received a lot of recognition for it. She played Hamlet, and audiences loved her.
Wow.
She also played Joan of Arc at the age of 46.
Oh.
Audiences loved her. She was known for being a little bit promiscuous. She had an affair with Victor Hugo.
Oh.
When she was 27 and he was 70.
Oh.
Yeah, but hey, it could have been good. He wrote a play that she was in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it was great. She also chose to have her own leg amputated. It wasn't exactly medically necessary, but she hurt herself. She basically had to, like, jump from a balcony as part of a play. Mm-hmm. And she injured her leg, and the leg was fine.
She was just probably going to, like, always have a limp or something.
It just always kind of hurt her.
Yeah.
And so she wrote to a lover of hers, who was a doctor, and said, if you don't cut my leg off right above the knee, I'm going to shoot myself, so you have to.
Oh.
And so he set up an appointment with a younger surgeon. He wouldn't do it himself.
Yeah.
But he did set up an appointment with another surgeon, and they took her leg off. She tried prosthetics, wooden prosthetics, just like a wooden leg, basically, for a little while, and she didn't like it. So what she settled on was she bought herself a sedan lounge and had people carry her.
Oh, wow. So I'm guessing this was, like, after her stage career.
I think it was. I think she was herself, like, 70 when this happened.
Right.
I'm not sure when the injury happened.
Right.
But yeah, there's just a lot of wild stories out there about her. And there's a really good quote from Mark Twain. Here we go. Okay, so Mark Twain identified 5 kinds of actresses.
Yeah.
Bad actresses, fair actresses, good actresses, great actresses, and then there's Sarah Bernhardt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty big. That's high praise.
I wish there could have been video of that, of like...
Yeah, I wish we could see, what she was like.
Basically, all you have is, secondhand
We have a few pictures. Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? That's funny because I was doing some research on Toulouse-Lautrec, and we don't have video or, a lot of 100% direct accounts, and it's funny how much the stories or the history that you read, it's funny how much it changes.
Right, yeah.
Article to article. But anyway, okay, she wants to be like the great Sarah. Mm-hmm. Got sidetracked.
So we've got these two plots that are sort of destined to intertwine. And so Christian wants to have this meeting with Satine. She wants to have this meeting with the Duke. And so after she drops from the ceiling, this is after the old men are singing the Nirvana song.
Oh yeah, Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
That's a good... I really like Smells Like Teen Spirit, by the way, as it's used in the movie.
Yeah.
It's not a song that's licensed often.
Right.
But they got permission from Courtney Love. Yeah.
Didn't you say that she was going to be...
Yeah, she auditioned.
Or something? Yeah.
I read that she auditioned for Satine. And I know, I find it hard to believe. I think she may have auditioned, for a role.
But this is probably during that time when she was kind of having a glow up and was in successful...
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the glow up.
And she was in some successful movies.
Was she?
Yeah, she was in, it's like a heist movie. I don't remember what it's called. Damn it.
I don't remember her acting, but I do remember when one day she walked out and she just looked really put together.
Yeah, because she was having this kind of resurgence as an actress. What was the movie called? Damn it. It was like a heist movie. And then she was also in 200 Cigarettes.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah. So anyway, we have these two sort of... Once Satine drops from the ceiling and she's doing her song, she's talking to Zidler during a costume change.
Right.
He's like, you have to talk to the Duke. And she's like, which one is the Duke? And Zidler looks...
He points.
Yeah, and Zidler looks and... He's like, oh, it's the one...
that Toulouse is shaking a hanky at.
Right.
Because they spill a drink or something, and Toulouse... Because they're seated next to each other, Toulouse leans over and says, can I borrow a hanky? And he just takes it.
Yeah.
And
by the time she looks...
he's cleaning something off of Christian's, vest or something.
So now she thinks that Christian is the Duke.
Right.
So this sets up the whole... movie basically.
Right.
This is what
as you would say the conceit is.
Right. This sets up the conceit of the movie.
And so they have plans. Zidler has set up a date between Satine and the Duke.
Uh-huh.
But Satine dances with Christian, again, thinking he's the Duke, and she makes sure that he's going to show up in the elephant room.
Right.
After
Has this
the show.
Very sexy dance with him.
Yeah.
She rubs their fronts together. Sorry.
You have to leave that in. In case you edit it, Alex just said. They rub their fronts together.
Right.
And then, so she tells Christian, meet me up in this room. Right. And then before they get there, though, she does pass out. She's on the swing.
She gets back on her trapeze.
Yeah.
And she has her first, fainting, coughing fit and falls into Chocolat's arms.
Chocolat, there to save the day.
The first of many times that he saves the day.
Okay, so he is one of the characters that is so underutilized. We don't get to learn anything about Chocolat, and
especially considering
he's the only black cast member, I think.
And considering how he is so pivotal to the plot.
Yeah, I mean, he is and he's not, they just use him to save the day.
Right.
Chocolat shows up when it's convenient.
Right.
And that's lame.
Yeah.
Super lame.
And, I mean, that's in the same way that, he's the only black character, I mean, you
He's
have...
probably one of the few gay characters. I don't know that he's gay. You have to kind of assume.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they never say that explicitly, but he is a dancer.
He's a dancer in the Moulin Rouge. I mean, there's only so many male dancers in there.
But, you know, the similar thing that happens with women in this movie, aside from Satine, is that they don't really have any character development for any of them.
The only
You have Marie.
Yeah, we have Marie.
And she has, like, one line.
I think that's okay. She's old. No, I'm kidding. No, Marie, I think Marie's character is fine, but Nini...
Right.
Big issues with Nini. But let's talk about Nini later, because
Yeah,
she does come
we'll
up.
come
She
back
is
to
more
this.
relevant in the movie, but there's still not a whole lot of motivation or development there.
Right. So now we get back up to
They're in
the
the
elephant
room. Yeah.
which I don't know. They don't really explain if this is where Satine lives, if this is just her, like, meeting spot as a courtesan, you know.
I think it's kind of like the go-to place if you're gonna, like, if you're rich,
It's like
and if you're gonna take things a little further.
It's like the VIP lounge at the
yeah,
strip
you're
club.
going to the back room.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what the elephant room is.
And so then, but if that's the case, then it's funny that we never see where she lives.
I'm sure it's not exquisite.
Right.
Not that Christian lived in great conditions either.
Right.
But, you know, it was
But
a place to live.
But even when everyone leaves, like, that's where she's alone. That's where she sings "One Day I'll Fly Away." Like, she's just hanging out there alone.
She obviously has permission to be there.
Right. I mean,
don't
if
know.
I had permission to be there, I would just kind of live there.
That's true. Depending on how many other women go into that room
Yeah, you
with
don't-
other men.
You don't know, like, to what extent it's being used by other people.
Ew.
For salacious purposes.
Ew. Or for poetry readings.
And here we are. So,
A little bit of poetry.
so he shows up at the elephant, and obviously they have a misunderstanding about what this is for. He thinks that he's trying to get her to invest, and she thinks that she's trying to get him to invest. But she is trying to do it with sex, and he is trying to do it with poetry.
Because Ziegler's more or less told her, like, you have to seduce him in order to make this happen. And he, as you noted earlier, they decided the right girl for him is Smoldering Temptress.
Oh, right.
So she really goes for it.
Yes.
Really go. Like, at one point, she's literally, like, writhing around on the floor and screaming,
naughty words.
It's so much. It's so much. And that's when Christian finally belts out that first line of your song.
Which seems to be something that he does when, like, things get too frantic.
He just sings.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, right, exactly.
As am I.
Right.
As am I. Oh, my gosh. I mean, I just got goosebumps kind of thinking about it. He's so good.
But this is another thing that's funny. When she decides on the Smoldering Temptress outfit, which is the red dress.
Yeah.
They're like, yes, the Smoldering Temptress outfit for meeting with the Duke. And then you get up there and she's not wearing it. She's in her lingerie.
I was confused about that too, because they put so much effort into that red dress.
Right.
And the black lingerie looks just as good.
Her waist is shocking in that lingerie. I mean, I know it's a corset, but...
she broke a rib twice trying to get into those corsets.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is just a rumor, but I did read that she wanted to have an 18-inch waist because that's what Scarlett O'Hara had.
Oh, yeah.
In Gone with the Wind.
Uh-huh.
Again, I don't know that. I don't know if that's true. I only saw it written down one place.
Yeah.
But she did have a teeny tiny corset, and she broke the same rib twice, I want to say, trying to get into it.
Ow.
Yeah.
And she has to do the whole dance number in that. She has to do Spectacular, Spectacular.
It's for art.
Yeah, the things we sacrifice for beauty. And so eventually...
The things women sacrifice for beauty.
Well, yeah. Exactly. So eventually she rips his pants off, or, like, rips his pants open and says, "Big boy."
And once again, the Bohemians, they're spying from a distance.
Yeah.
And I think it's Toulouse-Lautrec shouts out, he's got a huge talent.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
So,
But they don't do anything.
Right.
They do Your Song, and it's a really lovely rendition, and that's when she really falls for him. Up until she realizes after the song is ended, that he's got her in his arms, and
she's like, I can't believe I've fallen for a duke.
Right, and he says, a duke?
I'm not a duke.
I'm a writer. A writer? Yeah, and that's also when we get a really good glimpse of her super long eyebrows.
I have right here her eyebrows.
Yeah, they're very long.
They go back to her hairline. It's crazy.
I think it was mostly pencil.
Yeah.
They look good, though.
Yeah.
They look really good. She freaks out, realizes he's not the Duke, and that's when Zidler walks in and asks, are you ready to meet the Duke? And what do we do? Hijinks ensue.
Right. So he decides to hide. Mm-hmm. And the Duke comes in, right?
Yeah.
And the Duke comes in, and Satine and the Duke and Zidler, they make a plan, basically, for him to fund it.
Right. They come up with a plan to fund it based upon this poem, actually. It's Your Song, but the poem that Christian just read.
Right. So she does the same thing for the Duke, and he feeds her the lines.
Exactly. And, they get their funding. Mm-hmm. The Bohemians are excited.
So everyone leaves except for Satine and Christian, and she, again, gets really overwhelmed and has...
she passes out.
And has another attack.
Consumption attack.
Yeah, and faints, and he's trying to wake her up.
And then the Duke comes back...
Right.
Realizing he's forgotten something or whatever.
Foul play.
He opens the door and thinks that Christian's assaulting her. Say it one more time.
Foul play.
I love it. And that's when the Bohemians who have been spying...
Right. She wakes up and she's like, we're having an emergency rehearsal.
As though he didn't just leave 2 minutes ago.
Right. But the Bohemians...
They've been spying.
They happen to be there, so they're right on cue. And they're like, yes, this is our rehearsal.
Yeah, and that reminds me when they do have that moment where they realize they're not who... Christian isn't who she thought he was.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you noticed this, but up there in the corner, Toulouse's head is hanging down from the window because they're holding him upside down by his leg so he can spy. And so it's this beautiful moment between the two of them, and then boop, there's Toulouse.
Oh.
Yeah, it's funny. They convince him we're doing a play. We wanted to get started right away. Uh-huh. And
so then they sort of come up with the plot on the spot.
Right.
And that's what the song Spectacular is.
Spectacular. No words in the vernacular can describe this great event.
And since this is all happening, all of this is happening to Christian, he just uses what's going on to base the musical on.
Yeah, so it becomes very meta all of a sudden.
Right.
Basically, they decide that the play is going to be about a penniless sitar player.
Right.
A.k.a. the writer.
The penniless writer.
And the Maharaja.
Right.
Who wants to marry the courtesan.
Right.
But she's in love with the penniless sitar player. And basically, what we have is a love triangle.
Right.
That's what they pitch.
And then the Duke says... And in the end, should someone die?
Another really funny Duke line.
He's got plenty.
For a guy that is the worst, he's truly awful. And he does almost rape Satine, and it's unforgivable. But there are some very funny
lines.
Some
of the best comic relief in this movie comes from him.
No, and I feel... like such an asshole saying that out loud, but it's true. He does have really funny moments.
No, it's true. He's you can have comedic moments from bad characters. That's fine.
Absolutely. Well, we do, like it or not.
Right. And so they decide on this. Satine, in order to make Christian happy, tells the Duke that she doesn't want to sleep with him until, is it opening night?
Yes. Yeah. So they're, once all of the, I think that happens before they do Spectacular. I can't remember. But basically, yeah, there is a scene somewhere in there where she's about to sleep with the Duke. That's what he wants to do. And she says, no, you're right. We should wait. It wasn't his idea at all. But, that's what a suave girl does in that time. She makes it seem like it's his idea and says, we're going to wait. And Christian, he's watching the whole time and he looks very relieved when she finally says that.
Right. I just have a funny thing to tell you that in my Apple Notes app, every time I type Satine, it corrected me to Saltine.
So you just eventually stopped correcting it. So all of your notes are about Saltine.
Saltine's solo. So she sings One Day I'll Fly Away, which is, I thought was an original, but it's not. What is it from?
I think Randy Crawford, who was a jazz singer.
Okay.
Maybe still is. I think she did it first in 1980.
Okay.
I want to say. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I listened to a little bit of it, and it's surprisingly pretty similar to the version that Nicole Kidman sings.
Yeah, I thought it was an original just because I had never heard it before.
Yeah, the only original in this movie is Come What May.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it more later, but it was, in my opinion, a national tragedy that it wasn't nominated for Best Original Song.
And
at
you
the
had
Academy
said that
Awards.
was because it was written for Romeo plus Juliet.
That's right. Yeah. And for Academy Awards, the song has to be written specifically for the movie.
Right.
And since they wrote it for Romeo and Juliet, regardless of the fact that they didn't use it, it wasn't eligible.
Tragic.
Ridiculous.
Tragic. Okay, so then after her song, he sneaks back up to see her. And
that's when we get Elephant Love Medley.
Right. And this is kind of when he convinces her to have a relationship. She's still been reluctant up to this point.
That's when they actually fall in love. She falls in love with the man that she thinks is Christian. Yeah.
Right.
She's not feigning it for the Duke.
Right.
Yeah.
So he finally convinces her that they can have this sort of secret relationship during...
So Elephant Love Medley... Let me see. I thought I might have taken... Yeah, okay. So I wrote down all of the songs featured in Elephant Love Medley.
Uh-huh.
So I think this is in order. Mm-hmm. We have Love is Like Oxygen. Mm-hmm. And that's a song that he just recites.
Yeah.
Love is like oxygen.
Love lifts us up where we belong. All you need is love.
So we have Love is Like Oxygen by Sweet, Love is a Mini Splendored Thing by the Four Aces, Up Where We Belong by Joe Cocker and Jennifer Warnes, All You Need Is Love by the Beatles, Lover's Game by Chris Isaak, I Was Made for Lovin' You by Kiss, One More Night by Phil Collins, Pride in the Name of Love by U2, Don't Leave Me This Way, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Silly Love Songs, Paul McCartney and Wings.
Yeah.
And then it repeats Up Where We Belong by Joe Cocker, etc. Then we get Heroes, David Bowie. You know the next one?
Well, for one day, I will be me. I'll drink all the time. Oh, it's I Will Always Love You.
By Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we end with Going Back to Your Song by Elton John. Yeah.
You will be me. No, I won't.
I know. I think you've done this a bunch of times. I've definitely been guilty of like co-opting the music and putting on Elephant Love Medley. My good friend Samantha has definitely. We've done an impromptu performance.
I definitely remember doing
after a couple drinks.
I definitely remember doing that in my high school music room.
Oh, I was an adult, very much, and I don't think it was good. But you know what? It was fun, and our friends tolerated us.
And you know what? That's a good friend.
I'm sure we've done it as well, very obnoxiously at a bar or two.
And so the Elephant Love Medley ends. There's this, the moon is singing with them, right?
Oh, yeah. And I can't remember his name, but he's a famous opera singer.
Yeah.
The guy that does the moon.
It's like, Olive la forza bella, which I don't...
Oh, wow. Was it you?
It was me.
Did you do that? It was like I was watching the movie. That was amazing.
And then we kind of get this shot of, it pans over to Toulouse, like, sitting on the roof in his makeup crying or something.
Yeah. Toulouse-Lautrec had a...
Kind of a tragic life.
You know, it's funny. He was born into a pretty wealthy, aristocratic family. Mm-hmm. And he was the firstborn son as well. That being said, his parents were first cousins.
Ooh, yeah.
And
that'll do it.
I think there was kind of a long history of that happening in their family.
Especially, yeah, if it was an aristocratic family, I'm sure.
Right, it's not completely unheard of.
Right.
But he had 2 separate injuries as a child. I think at age 13 or maybe even younger, he broke one leg, and then the next year he broke his other leg. And because of a genetic birth defect, his legs never healed properly. So he developed a full adult torso, but his legs stayed child-sized.
So it wasn't even it wasn't even some sort of dwarfism. It was...
No, it was completely to do with the fact that he injured himself and wasn't able to heal, probably because of some sort of genetic or birth defect. But, I mean, it's hard to say.
Didn't John Leguizamo develop, lifelong injuries from being on his knees the whole time for this movie?
Yeah, John Leguizamo filmed the movie completely on his knees. And that sounds gross. Okay, so John Leguizamo, to be the shorter Toulouse-Lautrec. I've read that Toulouse-Lautrec was anywhere between 4, 6, and 5 feet.
Yeah.
To play the shorter Toulouse-Lautrec, he did everything. He just walked on his knees, and he wound up, I think he said, I read an interview with him in 2005, so 4 years later, or 5 years after filming. He said that it took a while to regain feeling in his legs, and then he still had serious back pain. From doing that. And I just wonder, was that truly necessary?
Right.
Because there are camera tricks you can do to make a person look a lot shorter or taller.
Sure. And some of them, I mean, they did just a lot of kind of forced perspective tricks. I mean, they did a lot in Elf.
Right. Oh, yeah. They did a good job in that.
Just having people closer.
Or Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Which was nominated up against Moulin Rouge in award season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it worked.
I don't know if it worked in Lord of the Rings very well.
I mean, it worked, but it was just sort of jarring.
Yeah. I mean, I think this seemed more believable, but, at what cost?
I thought it seemed believable, too. But so, yeah, Toulouse-Lautrec, because of the difficulties he faced physically, he obviously struggled a lot and probably in relationships.
And probably had a lot of physical pain that he was self-medicating.
Right. He got deep into alcoholism. He did frequent brothels often later on.
Probably was syphilitic as well.
Oh, he did die of, I think they concluded it was the combined effects of alcoholism and syphilis.
Yeah.
Funny enough, in 1899, when this movie takes place, he was committed. His family committed him to a sanitarium. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he came out 3 months later, and he actually did a lot of really important portraits when he was in the sanitarium. And he came out 3 months later. I don't know if he ever really fully recovered, though, and he died in 1901.
Oh.
Yeah, a couple years later at the age of 36.
So it's not really clear what the purpose of this shot is. You know, him crying on the roof or whatever.
I think it's just to show that he's a passionate man.
Yeah.
And I think he is lonely in love.
Right.
I think it's just showing,
Well, I feel because there's this kind of duality to it where it's like he's kind of crying with happiness because he's finally found this person who's going to like help him realize his dream of this musical or whatever it is. And also he's the view is, I think it's implied that he's like watching
something he can't have.
Right, he's watching them fall in love.
Yeah.
And so he's also sad about that.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think you nailed the or I think you nailed it on the head, yeah.
So then they start doing rehearsals and stuff, and this is when they run up to a balcony or something to like kiss, to make out, and Zidler sees them.
That's right. Yeah.
And so Zidler knows, and so he tells what does he tell Satine about it? That they just can't see each other anymore or something?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So basically Zidler tells her that she has to meet with the Duke. This is when he finds out about them being in love, and she's like, yes, you're right, I need to go meet with the Duke. And so, but Christian thinks that she's going to come meet up with him, but she has another attack, and so she doesn't show up for either. So Christian thinks that she stood him up.
The Duke thinks she stood him up.
And so Zidler is trying to like, gloss things over with the Duke, and that's when they sing Like a Virgin. Yes.
This is my favorite. I think okay, aside from Come What May, which is just a tearjerker, Like a Virgin is my favorite song in the entire movie. It is so funny. The male dancers, like the waiters, they're incredible.
Yeah.
The Duke is super funny. And Jim Broadbent, can we just take a second and acknowledge how incredible of an actor Jim Broadbent is?
Well, he won an Oscar the same year, right, for In the Bedroom?
But not for this movie.
No, I don't think he was nominated for this.
Was it In the Bedroom or was it Iris? Which one was he in?
I thought it was
because both of those were nominated that year.
I think Judi Dench won for Iris and he won for In the Bedroom.
I did write it down because I really like looking at the awards. He won for Iris.
Oh.
Nailed it.
Maybe it wasn't In the Bedroom. I don't know.
In the Bedroom was a movie nominated that year.
Okay.
But Jim Broadbent was in Iris.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So they're singing Like a Virgin, and they also...
It's so funny.
And they actually... And I don't know what other times it happens in this movie, but they're singing directly to camera.
Yeah. I don't think they're necessarily like doing a breaking of the fourth wall thing.
No, it's they're singing to each other, and so it's basically
you're getting the perspective of
the other
each
person.
Character.
Yes,
exactly. But and that makes it even funnier.
Yeah,
the way that they're singing to each other. Right. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I really love the score for it too.
Yeah.
I think I like that more than the song itself.
Oh, better than Madonna's version? Yeah.
I think I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
So after this happens, this is what it is. After this happens, Zidler goes to check on Satine, who has had another episode, and the doctor tells Zidler while she's passed out
that she's dying. Yeah.
But he doesn't tell her.
Right, because why should she know what's happening to her body?
Right.
It's not important.
She would become hysterical.
We'd have to commit her. And it would be a thing. Let's just keep it under wraps.
So because they have to, they have this... Satine has to have this new commitment to making the Duke feel better now because she had stood him up or whatever.
Right.
So this is when he has to kind of come along on all their dates and stuff.
Well, and is this around the time that he says we're changing the play, or does that come later?
That comes after, like at the end of Come What May, I believe. So this comes directly after Come What May, because Come What May includes this montage of them going around with the Duke, like you were talking about.
That's right, yeah. And then they go into the actual rehearsals.
Right. And so they're like, we need to have in order to make Christian feel better about the time she's spending with the Duke, they agree to have this secret song thing.
Right.
And that's when they sing Come What May.
And then the secret song becomes a plot of the play itself.
Right.
The secret song is going to be between the penniless sitar player and the courtesan.
Right. And then I think while they're singing this during rehearsals is when fucking Nene.
Ugh. Okay,
and she's like, why would she choose the penniless writer?
Oops, I mean sitar player. I know, she's the worst.
And so they do this beautiful rendition of Come What May, and he
hates it, and he shuts it down.
I don't like this ending.
Okay, but let me just... Nene is one of the other characters that I have a huge problem with in this film.
All she does is be a villain for no reason.
Right. I mean, the best we can assume is
jealousy,
rival dancer.
Right, but they never really explain. They never explain that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we know, she doesn't have ambitions to become an actress.
She's just a shit stirrer.
She's just kind of a bee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. I want to say, I'm not crazy about the stage production of this movie. Not that I've seen it, but I've read enough.
Yeah.
And that's one thing they changed that I really like. They made Nene more of a supportive character.
Right.
I think in the stage one, they actually have Nene warn Satine that the Duke is catching on, rather than have Nene tell the Duke what's going on.
Right.
I think that was a good change.
Because it makes more sense that he would figure it out on his own. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
It does, and it makes more sense that a person, if we're not going to get a backstory on her, it makes more sense that she would just be a normal human being and tell her friend. Rather than be relentlessly bitchy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was a good move for the Broadway production.
So the Duke is saying that he wants to change the ending, and Christian...
Right, because it doesn't make any sense. Right. Why would she go for a penniless sitar player instead of a life of
And that's when Christian
comfort.
Says, because she doesn't love you. I mean him.
Yeah.
He's dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he drunk in that scene? I don't think he was, but I think they do highlight a lot of how absinthe negatively influenced some of the situations.
Oh, you think Christian was drunk?
I was just asking. I don't know. I can't really remember. I don't think he was. I think he just sort of lost his cool.
Yeah, I think.
But later on, he does get drunk and definitely loses his cool.
Oh, yeah.
Much more. But yeah, I think you're right on this scene. He just loses it.
And then this is when it just continues to escalate, where the more things happen with the Duke that sends things off the rails, the more Satine has to make up for
cover up things.
Make up for it with the Duke, which is why she after this outburst, she goes up to the Duke and she's like, "How about we have dinner tonight?"
Right.
And Christian's already upset, so he's like, "Oh, now she's gonna have dinner with him."
And I think that's when we go into, correct me if I'm wrong, but Roxanne?
Yeah.
Yeah. We go into this very sensual, aggressive tango, I guess, as they all should be. And
it even begins with Nene being
the worst again. Yeah,
and then she goes and antagonizes Christian.
Well, she throws herself on the Argentinian.
Yeah.
And then he pushes her away, or he tries to tell her to, bug off. like twice, I think. And then he finally pushes her off of him, and then she freaks out, like, how dare you touch me? Like, yeah. She's such a pot stirrer.
He'll get his end. What is it?
Ending. Like, she makes a lot of bad jokes.
Right.
It's just, she's frustrating.
But then she
Did you say earlier she has crunchy bangs?
I did say that at some point. She does have crunchy bangs. She has gelled.
It's not cool to make fun of people for their appearance, but she does have crunchy bangs.
Intentionally gelled bang strings.
Or just like crazy. Anyways, they do the very sensual Roxanne tango, and while that's going on, we watch Christian walking the streets, just being sad, and then he comes across the apartment or whatever it is where the Duke and Satine are, and they're standing on the balcony, and he sees them.
And Satine sees him, and doesn't she sing a little bit of "Come What May"?
I think she does.
And that's when the Duke flips out.
Yeah. And okay, so before or just during all of that, so the Duke has given Satine this beautiful diamond necklace.
Oh, yeah.
Insanely gorgeous. Get this. Most expensive piece of jewelry ever made for a film.
That's crazy.
Now, granted, this movie came out almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
20 years ago. It came out in 2001. It's exactly 20 years ago.
God.
It came out 20 years ago. So that could have changed since then. But at the time
it was.
Most expensive piece of jewelry ever made for a film. It cost $3 million. And they actually used a quote-unquote stunt double for the scene where he rips it off of her.
It had to be like a qualified hand to do it.
No. It was Nicole Kidman who received a stunt double.
Oh.
It wasn't her neck.
When they broke it off. Wow.
And I don't really understand, like, why did it have to be... I guess they didn't want to hurt her neck, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
But that suggests they were actually breaking it, and I refuse to believe they actually broke it.
No, I'm sure there was, yeah.
So I don't really know why they did that.
I don't know what the motivation, like, on film, why you wouldn't just use costume jewelry for that.
Yeah, but in what sense does a cubic zirconia not work? Mm-hmm. I can't tell the difference.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe the can reviewers can. Can reviewers can.
So this sets off the Duke, and he rips the necklace off, and it seems like he's about to rape her.
He's definitely about to rape her. He throws her on the bed, and she looks terrified, and then once again, Chocolat shows up.
How did he know?
We have no idea how he knew.
Because isn't this the Duke's house? How did he end up?
Yeah, I think so.
How did Chocolat end up at the Duke's house?
Again, it's like, could you not have just like given us a little bit more about Chocolat?
Right.
Like, does he have to be just the dude that saves the day?
Right.
Yeah. That's a bummer, but all that being said, I still enjoy the movie very much. I just wish they'd done better with him.
Yeah.
But he saves the day. He carries her home, and I think, it's shortly after that she decides, I'm done.
Okay, so what happens is, the Duke decides that he's going to kill Christian.
Right, he's gonna send Warner, his man.
Right, and this is when Satine. This is when Zidler finally tells, because she's like, we're gonna run away.
Yeah, she decides she's done. We're gonna escape. I don't care about the show anymore. I'm leaving you. I'm leaving the Moulin Rouge.
So basically, she goes back to get her things and is going to tell Zidler that she's leaving, and this is when he tells her that she's dying. And that if they don't do the show the way the Duke wants it, and if she doesn't go home with him that night, he will kill Christian. Kill Christian. So she's essentially doing the Harry and the Hendersons thing.
Yeah, and she
push him away to save him.
Tells him it's over.
Right. So when she's leaving to go tell Christian that it's over is when the show must go on.
Right.
happen.
I really love the outfit she's wearing in that song, by the way.
The like suit dress with the little top hat. Yeah.
Well, is that the one with the, is she wearing like, when does she wear the white beret?
Oh, I don't know. No, I think it's a top hat.
I think all of the costuming is very well done.
Yeah.
They did win that award at the Oscars, by the way, for best costuming or best costume design. I think that they did a particularly good job with the clothes that she's wearing just as her regular self. Mm-hmm. It's not the clothes that you pay the most attention to, but they're all just as beautiful.
Yeah.
Just as gorgeous and
it could have just been
corsets and
stuff. It
stuff.
could have just been like a regular suit, but it like the way that it fastened was really interesting.
Is it the gray one?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. At some point, she wears an all white one, and it's just. Mwah.
And so the show must go on, which is kind of Zidler's big song, but there's also this.
Right.
There's also this beautiful like background singer, like the seamstresses when they're singing along.
Almost like beautiful. A group of singing nuns.
Right.
But not.
Close.
Opposite. They're prostitutes.
Right. Who's so?
But they sound just as lovely and
So she goes and she tells Christian that it's over. We have to end it.
And he can't handle it.
No. So she leaves and
he knows that she's lying.
I mean, he has to. But maybe he doesn't because he's really mad.
Right. Well, I mean, he loses it because he can't believe it.
Right. Yeah. So now it's the night of the show. It's the day of the show, y'all. And so they're putting on the production, and Christian has some sort of plan. It seems like he gets a bunch of money together to go disrupt the performance.
Yeah. Yeah, he sneaks backstage. Mm-hmm. The narcoleptic Argentinian has had a fit of narcolepsy, so he's out, so he steals his jacket.
Right. I guess just to like make himself blend in more with the actors who are in costume or whatever.
Yeah.
And the Duke has informed his manservant Warner to shoot Christian on sight, basically. Right. So he manages to find Satine backstage, and they're having this
really intense moment. Like, he's definitely messed up at this point. He's got to be drunk.
Right. He's messed up in the head. He's probably drunk.
Ewan McGregor does a good, like, messed up. If we look at Trainspotting, Moulin Rouge.
Well, he's a great actor.
He is such a good... Yeah, you're right. It's not just that he can do, like, messed up.
Right.
But, I'm really impressed with him all the time.
Yeah. And so they're having this intense moment. He's like kind of shaking her. He has her by the shoulders, right?
Yeah, it's intense. It's really intense.
But it's like, poor Satine.
A little violent.
Poor Satine, all these manhandling her.
I mean, probably poor all of the women that actually existed in that situation.
But especially Saltine.
Yeah, you're right.
So they happen to be standing at this door where this entrance is supposed to happen, and then the curtain breaks, opens, and they're on stage.
Oops.
And Zidler
saves the show really quickly,
right?
And says, "Oh, he thought he could fool us, but I can
it's
tell
the same penniless sitar player.
He's with a shaved beard,
right?
And the audience just laughs like, ha ha."
And Christian,
that's so clever.
And Christian pushes her to the ground.
Yeah. No, he's mad. And very drunk.
Probably drunk.
He's drunk.
But he had, I guess this was his plan because he happens to have all of this money.
Right. He throws it at her.
And says, I've paid my whore.
Well, she did tell him that it was all pretend.
Yeah.
When she did her Harry and the Hendersons thing.
Right.
She said, it wasn't real. I never loved you.
Right.
This is my job, Christian, is to make men fall in love with me.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not saying what he did was right, but his reaction is understandable.
Sure.
Yeah.
So he pushes her to the ground. He throws some money at her. He says, he calls back his father's line and says, "Thank you for curing me of my ridiculous obsession with love."
Ridiculous obsession with love.
And she's like sobbing on the ground, and he starts to walk away through the audience. And then I just got goosebumps.
I know. And then she's still on the ground and she's watching him and she lets out this very quiet,
"Never knew."
Yeah. And she starts singing this song and he stops in his tracks. And
I have to tell you, this is my favorite moment of the whole movie.
I would say it's mine too.
And just the way he stops when he hears her, and the way that her voice is like so powerful in this moment when
she's a really good singer.
When she comes back, when she stands up and says, "Come back to me and forgive everything."
Yes.
And like it takes and like
I just got
and her
chills.
Me too. And her acting is so good because like it's obvious, like singing that moment, it takes it out of her. She has to catch her breath after that.
Yeah, she falls a little bit again.
Because she's singing so powerfully.
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
What a blessing.
And so he lets her sing a little bit, and he starts singing with her and rushes back to the stage. And then then it becomes the finale of...
Right, and Warner is still on the move.
Right.
He's gonna get Christian, but then Toulouse-Lautrec drops a sandbag, I think, onto his head to knock him out. Because, the sandbags, I guess, were used for
waiting curtains or whatever.
Exactly.
Or waiting prop pieces or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And so he drops the sandbag on Warner, and the gun flies out into the audience, right?
I think yes, it does fly into the audience, and then there's chaos for a minute.
And then the Duke sees... all this time they're singing...
The Duke grabs the gun.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So all this time they're singing "Come What May," and the Duke sees the gun that Warner dropped and goes to get it for himself. And then what happens?
Someone tackles him, and you know what? It might be Chocolat.
Probably.
No, someone tackles him. Who is it?
I don't remember who...
Golly, I can't believe neither of us wrote that down because I can't remember either, and I've seen it 5,000 times.
The Duke comes rushing back to the stage with the gun.
Yeah.
Someone hits him in the face. It was Zidler.
Hits him in the face.
Yeah, it's Zidler.
It's not a tackle. He just punches him out, I think.
And the gun goes flying.
And it bounces off the Eiffel Tower and flies over the moon.
And that's something we haven't talked about, are these little moments with the skyline.
I love that stuff.
This kind of surrealist moments where it's like the gun binks off the...
Right, and those scenes, they look more like paintings than they do a movie.
Right.
I mean, you could take a shot, from any moment in those scenes, and it would look beautiful on your walls. And you know what? I might do that.
Because a similar thing happens during the Moulin Rouge scene.
When
all the old men throw the hat.
Smells like Teen Spirit.
The
they
old
flow
men.
their hats.
Yeah, you see them fly up above the...
I think I just said they
Rouge
flow their hats. But
they fly
they
their
throw
hats.
them. They throw them and they fly them.
Uh-huh. And this production is very Bollywood. Mm-hmm. Which is intentional, because I think it might have been the same quote that I saw Baz's description of wanting it to be a music video or whatever. He was also talking about how he was inspired by an experience that he had with Bollywood.
Oh, I didn't read that.
Yeah.
Cool. I was wondering where that came from.
And he was talking about they had seen this production or something that was high farce and then tragedy, and it was just all of these different things mixed up into one. But
that's another thing about the stage musical that they changed. They took out, I think, all of the Indian aspects to the movie.
Which is understandable.
I get it, yeah, because...
If you're having, a bunch of white actors...
Yeah, right, and it's a different
non-Indian
culture,
actor,
and if you don't really have a lot of familiarity with it, then you should probably not.
And like you can take inspiration from that kind of production without, appropriating it.
Which I guess we can go ahead and say they definitely appropriated.
Yeah.
Misappropriated.
Absolutely.
Indian culture.
And that's what I'm saying is like you can
it
have
was really pretty.
you can have the same sort of feeling of those disparate elements without actually trying to have like
A full Bollywood production with
Exactly.
0 Indian actors.
Right.
Yeah.
And Nini,
That's something they
Nini
did.
doing like
And it's Nini.
doing
Yeah.
the prayer pose or whatever.
The choreography is so cool. Like, if they could have just been... Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I give this movie an A- now.
Yeah,
After we talk through these films, my opinions change a little bit.
And
Because you bring up good points. You do.
And I had in my notes, I didn't think I'd cry, just because, seen it so many times.
It's the 35th time
Right.
you've watched it.
And I did.
I cry every time.
But I didn't necessarily cry when she died. I cried.
No, I cry during the sentimental moments.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Because she's going to die.
Right. And so at the end of the song, she's about to die.
She more or less collapses, and that's it.
And she says, "Tell our story."
Yeah. And so that's when we get to the intro. That's what he's trying to do.
Did. Yeah. He also does, and I don't know, who knows if this is intentional or not, but a very similar thing happens in Romeo plus Juliet at the end when Claire Danes realizes that the way she cries. Yeah, when Juliet realizes that Romeo is dead.
Yeah.
And lets out this guttural. And
I shouldn't laugh. Listen.
But he does the same.
Claire Danes, God bless her.
Girl can cry.
Yes, she can. She's got better than her guttural wailing is that chin movement.
Oh yeah,
that she does.
The dimply chin.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But Ewan McGregor.
Christian, he does a similar thing.
Because it's both of them are like. It's silence in the movie.
It evokes a lot of emotion from me, though, when they do that, because that's how real people cry.
Yeah.
Like, if you're truly gutted and grieving, like, that's how you sound.
And both of those moments don't have any soundtrack.
There's no pretty tears in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do a good job, and yeah, it's... Whew, it's an emotional ringer, especially in a year like we've had.
Oh, God.
I mean, everything is...
Things
it hits you a little bit harder.
Everything's a little heightened.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so if anyone needs a really good cry right now, I highly recommend Moulin Rouge. You've probably already seen it if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, go watch it. If you have, still, go watch it again.
Yeah. Oh, if you want... Okay, I think my most cathartic cry of... since lockdown began was definitely Little Women 94.
Yeah, that's a good one. Another movie where coughing leads to death, although not by consumption.
No, it's fever.
Scarlet fever?
I think
she gets scarlet fever,
it's scarlet
and then
fever.
like her heart never heals.
It weakens her heart forever.
Yeah, biggest
you'll
cry...
You'll find her much altered.
What was my biggest cry during the pandemic? I don't know. Every day. Anyway. Okay.
So basically the movie ends.
The movie ends. So let's talk about, should we do recasting? I don't actually have recasts other than, obviously, Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet.
Uh-huh.
They can be the new leads.
Okay, so
I don't think we need recasting, though. I swear, I think Nicole Kidman and Ewan McGregor,
again.
they could do it today.
So I had a few. I feel like a kind of what someone might consider the obvious choice would probably be like Emma Stone.
Does she sing?
Take it or leave it. But yeah, she sang La La Land.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think that she sings as well as Nicole Kidman.
I don't think so either. She's a lovely girl.
What about
woman?
What about Beyonce?
Oh my God.
Right?
I mean, like, she could do anything, so.
Beyonce.
I never thought about that, but okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not mad at that.
Of course, Zendaya. I said Jennifer Hudson again, but I don't know if she has... She's such a good singer, but I don't know if she has the, like, charisma as an actress to pull it off.
I know what you mean. I haven't seen her as just a straight-up actress in a lot of roles other than Sex and the City.
And she did not have a lot to work with.
She didn't. It wasn't great. Also, did you see that they're fully rebooting
Oh, yeah.
Sex and the City? Oh, my gosh. Anyways.
I mean, so...
Anyways.
I mean, I'm fine. I will probably see it. I kind of,
because we have nothing else to do.
Right. I mean, I feel like in the feud, I'm Team Cattrall.
Oh.
Just based on like interviews that she's given.
I just also really appreciate the way Kim Cattrall spoke up when I think her brother died, and then Sarah Jessica Parker sent out like a really nice tweet saying like, I'm so sorry, you're my friend forever or something. And she said, I want to be clear, we are not friends.
I mean, she's kind of iconic in that way.
She was obviously going through a thing. A very close loved family member died. She may have been reacting in the moment, but there's a part of me that's just like, good for you, you bad bitch.
Right. And then and I feel like it's one of those things where I feel like SJP does these very performative things. Like,
you think it's calculated?
Well, yeah, and like she's always like, no, we were fine, blah blah blah.
But let's bear in mind, she's not Samantha, or she's not Carrie. She's not Carrie.
Right.
She is a real person. Carrie is calculated.
Right.
And okay, we're getting way too deep into Sex and the City.
Sure, but I mean, like, if your family member died, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't tweet at me?
No. It's obviously done for...
In fact, I did have a family member die, and you did not tweet at me. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
So for Christian, I had, of course, Timothée Chalamet, Eddie Redmayne.
Oh, good one.
And reprising his role from Broadway, Aaron Tveit.
Yeah, I love Tveit a lot. I loved him in Les Mis.
Yeah.
I even loved him in that live TV version of Grease.
Oh, was he in that?
Yeah, he was Danny.
Oh, well, he's dreamy.
He's pretty dreamy.
And also in Les Mis, it's like, it's hard to not make the role of Enjolras sexy. It's like an inherently sexy character.
He's a little bit of a show stealer.
Yeah.
A little bit.
That role is a show stealer.
Yeah, and the way that he dies, I mean, spoiler alert, but you should know this by now. The way that he died, like, it's such an epic scene.
Do you know how it went in the Broadway show?
No, I still haven't seen it on Broadway, and it's one of my biggest hang-ups.
Well, and this is, I don't think they do the rotating stage anymore, but when they had, like, in the first... in the first incarnation on Broadway before they did the 25th anniversary version, there was a rotating stage, and Enjolras dies on the barricade, and you know how there's like an instrumental version of Bring Him Home showing all the dead people, and when it reaches the swell, the stage rotates, and
and you see him, and it shows him like hanging out the window,
hanging backwards on the flag.
Yeah.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
So for Zidler, I said Tom Hanks.
Oh, that's smart. I like that.
And Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman?
See,
I can't imagine him being animated.
I was just trying to think of like older like character actors. I guess he's not really a character actor.
No.
Tom Hanks would be good.
No, I could see Tom Hanks.
And for the Duke, I just said Jake Gyllenhaal. I feel like he could do it very well.
Jake Gyllenhaal could be Christian.
Right.
In fact, Jake Gyllenhaal auditioned for Christian.
Right.
As did Heath Ledger. Mm-hmm. And Leonardo DiCaprio.
Did Heath Ledger sing, I wonder?
I think Heath Ledger may have gotten the furthest of the three of them because I read interviews with Baz where he was talking about how Heath just did so well on camera with Nicole.
Oh.
Which means they made it to the screen test portion of the auditions.
I guess he sang in 10 Things I Hate About You.
I don't think that was his voice, but that is such a cute scene. Oh my gosh, I love that movie. And he's so cute in it. But no, so with Jake Gyllenhaal though, I just want to say Baz Luhrmann said like this man has to be in a musical at some point, and I wholeheartely agree, and I think it's a crime that Jake Gyllenhaal hasn't been in one yet.
Right,
because
he has a Broadway quality voice.
He came in and sang Sondheim for Baz Luhrmann, and he said it was incredible. He was just too young.
Yeah.
And that's what he said about Heath as well.
Right.
That Heath was too young. And then with Leo, he just wasn't a good singer.
Yeah.
For his audition, he sang Lean on Me, and he really struggled with it. And,
of course he did.
So they said, And I'm sorry, if you can't do Lean on Me, then no, not happening. Just really quickly, the actresses that auditioned for Satine include Catherine Zeta-Jones, who wound up doing Chicago, and I think she won...
Yeah, she won the Oscar
next year. And then also Renee Zellweger.
Yeah.
And here's the one that I think would have worked. Kate Winslet.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know how she sings.
I think that she's known to be a good singer.
But assuming she can sing, I could definitely see Kate Winslet doing it.
They feature a tiny snippet of her singing in Titanic.
Do they?
When they're it's like during the church service.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I have. Obviously, it's Titanic.
That would be very strange.
But he basically just said that no one impressed him the way that Nicole Kidman did, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so I don't want to, really get into all of these notes that I have, but just a little bit of the history of, what was going on in Paris at the time.
Or in Montmartre.
Right. I mean, the area is called Montmartre. Montmartre.
Oui.
Which is just basically a neighborhood in Paris, which is located up on this hill or whatever. But this period of time between 1880 and 1914, it basically ended with World War One, was called La Belle Époque. And it was just, it was a flourishing time for artists in this area. And there were two kinds of schools of thought, or what they called artist associations. That were there were two groups, and then there were also individual artists. But one of the groups was Les Nabis, and they were more interested in a transition from Impressionism, kind of branching off from Impressionism and academic art into abstract art and symbolism.
Okay.
It was the early movements of modernism.
So then Toulouse-Lautrec would have been part of the other one.
He wasn't part of either of them.
Oh, he was his own.
Yeah. So these people, they shared a common admiration for Gauguin and Cézanne.
Okay. So what was the other group?
They wanted to determine and they wanted to renew the art of painting. The other one was the more avant-garde group called Les Inco.
Oh, okay. So we had avant-garde and modernism.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
This one was called Les Incohérence, but it's spelled like incoherence.
Okay. Yeah.
Which was a short-lived French art movement founded by Jules Lévy. And it was it had a lot of satirical irreverence, and anticipated many of the art techniques and attitudes that were later associated with avant-garde and anti-art movements.
Okay.
One of the most famous ones...
I don't like the anti-art.
But one of the most famous ones is it's like a famous painting of the Virgin Mary, but she's smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
There's also a famous shot of Rooney Mara and Joaquin Phoenix filming this movie about Jesus. I can't remember what it's called. It might be called Mary Magdalene. She played Mary Magdalene. But it's like one of my favorite pictures of all time because it's like Joaquin Phoenix up on the cross and she's standing next to him and they're both smoking cigarettes. It makes me laugh so hard every time I see it. Anyways, not to sidetrack, but I do want to ask, so does that mean that Toulouse-Lautrec, because, you know, he's one of the most famous post-impressionists.
Right.
So does that mean that he sort of
He
just
didn't really,
did his own thing?
Yeah, he didn't really fall into either of those categories. So there were also individuals who were there at the time, and those included a lot more of the well-known names, which were Van Gogh, Brissot, let's see, Jacques Villon, Matisse, Toulouse-Lautrec. And then it also ended up being a safe haven for like American expatriate African Americans.
Oh, cool.
Like Langston Hughes. He worked and drew some inspiration
Maybe
from the
that's
area.
chocolat. Who knows?
Right.
I will say, too, something notable about Toulouse-Lautrec was he was not unknown in his lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, he was successful as a painter. So at least he had that going for
And
him.
he was he the only one who like did specifically draw inspiration from the Moulin Rouge itself?
Well, he was the one that did the advertisements for them
Yeah.
when they were first opening up 10 years earlier than the movie is set in 89.
It would have, if it was 10 years earlier, it would have been 1890.
No, it's 1899. So it would have been 89.
Yeah.
I think it was 89 when it opened. I could be wrong. It could be 79, but that wouldn't fit the timeline.
Yeah.
So I think it's 89, and he did do the advertisements for the Moulin Rouge, and
With the Can-Can girls. I mean, they're iconic paintings.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I was obsessed with that kind of stuff in high school, and one of my favorite.
It became kind of like, after that, it became kind of like basic TJ Maxx art. You know?
Yeah, because, okay, listen, I had an art teacher who, for some reason, like, didn't want us to make our own stuff. Like, she kept assigning us assigning us projects where we had to recreate another artist's work. I guess she was trying to get technique instilled in us.
Strange.
I know. I'm frustrated about it to this day. But I did a couple in the style of Toulouse-Lautrec.
Okay.
Mostly because of Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
I was just obsessed with it. And then my grandmother, she gave me a couple prints of the Toulouse-Lautrec advertisements. And yeah, it was just a big part of my growing up. And to this day, Post-Impressionism is my favorite.
Yeah. So another interesting thing about... So this... It did go a little bit later than World War I, but people tend to mark the ending of this sort of idealist movement. Not really ideal. I mean, kind of
Summer of Love.
Right, this kind of euphoric feeling. I mean, it was ended by World War I.
Oh, there goes the classic train.
There's the train.
The classic train.
So it did continue a little bit after that, and there were other, Langston Hughes, as well as a little bit later, Josephine Baker was a big part of the scene. There was a gathering place called R26. Which was an artistic salon.
Okay.
But it was frequented by Josephine Baker and Django Reinhardt. But Django Reinhardt actually wrote a song about that club, the R26, but it was called R26, which is R26.
Oh.
But... What I was going to say was they touched on this kind of later renaissance of this area with Josephine Baker in Lovecraft Country.
Oh, that's right.
When she goes
That's right.
When she goes to Paris and like feels what it's like to like live in sort of like a freer
My
society.
favorite episode.
That was I really loved that episode.
Hippolyta.
God, it was so good.
She's so cool.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like she lived like all these like whole lifetimes in like a blink of an eye, you know?
Became this badass warrior.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh man, that show is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's basically all I have on that. But
Yeah. We could talk about all of the things that connect to this movie for hours and hours and hours,
Yeah.
but it's already been close to 2, so we better wrap it up. I do want to say that for our next episode, we want to do a poll and figure out, what does our audience want to hear, if there is an audience.
Right.
If you're listening to this right now,
If you've made it this far.
Yeah, you get to have a contribution. So we're going to set something up on our Instagram. It's at The Hills Are Alive Pod.
yeah.
And I think we're going to do an Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah, we wanted to do a polarizing Andrew Lloyd Webber movie next.
So we're going to do either Cats or Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
And so we will set that up on our Instagram. We may link to another the same poll.
Yeah,
but,
we'll probably have it set up on our website as well.
But we'll do an Insta poll at least once or twice, and then we'll have it set up on our website if you miss it. Mm-hmm. And it's not scientific, so vote as many times as you want to.
Yeah.
If you really are passionate about one of the two, then we'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably wind up doing both eventually, but help us pick which one is going to be next.
I mean, I need help picking one because I'm not a huge Andrew Lloyd Webber fan to begin with. So help me.
Yeah, I can't say that I am either, but I know which one I want to do. I'm not going to say it, but I know which one I want to do
for this as well.
Yeah. Okay, so...
And don't worry, we will be doing Evita. That one is...
Yeah.
on the table for sure.
Yeah, Alex isn't going to let us get away without doing Evita.
I love it.
So again, that's
like that's my one Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah. You get one.
You get one.
Okay, so again, it's at The Hills Are Alive Pod. And we'll be setting that up immediately.
Yeah.
So by the time you're listening to this, it's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so thank you, friends, for listening.
Yes.
And I can't wait to do this again.
Yeah, it was great chatting with you, Kelsey, for these past couple of hours. I love Moulin Rouge, and I love you.
Aw, I love you. And Moulin Rouge. All right.
So y'all be safe out there.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. So long. Again.
Oopsie.
Damn it.